Right, guys, before I get started, could I please ask you all, wherever you may be, to give a massive round of applause to Catherine and the STFYD committee for all of their hard work. We're obviously all gutted to be missing out on a huge, flashy dinner at Grand Connaught Rooms, but I think it says a lot about our year that we're able to piece together whatever bits of STFYD we have left and still have a good time reminiscing about an incredible 6 years with our closest friends. So let's put the recent drama aside and wind back the clock to where it all started, applying to medical school. Having volunteered at the local care home, climbed Kilimanjaro for charity, sat the BMAT and explained to a board interview panel that we really like science and have a passion for helping others, there we were, an offer to study medicine at Imperial College London in our hands. The excitement and relief of securing an offer was mixed with some apprehension after hearing the stereotypes about Imperial. 6 years later, we're in a position to do some myth busting. We worried that Imperial, being a science university with a traditional course, it would lack diversity and may compromise our development. However, some of us have survived Miss Owen's 100-hour labour ward shift. And as for diversity, those of us who had placements at Ealing or Norfolk will have dramatically improved our Punjabi. Before we knew it, we were sat in G16 amongst 300 strangers with All About That Bass by Meghan Trainor stuck in our heads from the last Ministry Tuesday. After the initial freshers formalities of discussing where you're from, which A-levels you did, and which halls you were at, we embarked on an epic journey. Coming to university brought with it a number of changes. Many of us were living away from home for the first time, and we had absolutely no idea what we were doing. But little by little, we found our feet and developed a new kind of home at ICSM. We found the clubs and societies that we truly cared about after the assault that is Freshers' Fair. Our confusion about work was calmed by copious volumes of Isamo's notes, Forever My Superior. And we embraced new ways of learning as our most played on iTunes became Gluconeogenesis is So Exhilarating by the one and only MC Peas. Compared to sixth form, the volume of work seemed somewhat daunting. Some of us used carefully calculated tactics to maximise efficiency. A certain member of our year group, whom I shall not name, took the risk of ignoring pelvic anatomy in its entirety, banking on it not coming up in the exam. When, to his dismay, a diagram of the female perineum appeared as a 10 marker, he employed a new tactic to cut his losses by filling in every label as vagina. He got 1 mark. We then swiftly progressed to becoming the cockiest breed at medical school, second years. Ruthless and despotic, we enjoyed inflating our sense of self-importance to the younger years by complaining about the toils of learning the entire Krebs cycle. Second year syndrome, as it's famously known, protected us from the fact that 2 years of arduous lectures enabled us to recite the innervation of all 300 muscles in the forearm, but we were just as useless to patients as we always had been. This was made particularly evident by the year 2 OSPE. Using myself as an example, I failed the BLS station after giving 3 rescue breaths, demonstrating that 2 years of medical school left me worse at saving a life than someone who'd paid attention to the Vinnie Jones ad. Then came third year, our chance to shine on the wards, save lives and live our dreams. So we thought. Chasing sign-offs is the bane of every third year's life. So I thought I'd make a list of unofficial sign-offs to illustrate the reality of third year. So here it is. Year 3 flops. Docs we were never assigned but inevitably completed. Flop 1. Failing to get flashback when taking bloods and reconsidering all your life choices. Flop 2. Claiming that you heard an ejection systolic murmur with a soft S2, even though you couldn't hear a heart or a lung. And finally, flop 3, getting a migraine every Thursday morning for a year. Despite these flops, we made it through. After consistently meeting expectations and surviving DNB rates higher than parts of the Congo, we were scratching the surface of being clinically competent. What better way to build on this personal and professional development than to spend a year in the lab pipetting solutions and conducting literature sessions? We welcomed the BSc year with open arms. We had no more 8 AM ward rounds at Hillingdon, and we went back to learning the way we learn best, in bed with Panopto. Despite our initial enthusiasm, we knew that fourth year was going to be tough. We appraised, critiqued, and synthesized our way through ICA after ICA, and we will go down in history as being some of the last humans on Earth to endure exams so terrible that even the faculty decided to scrap them. Bear in mind that this is the same faculty that gave us an EMQ purely on rare fungal infections last year. Although fourth year built us into capable young scientists, our current mark on medical literature as ICSM students is a diverse array of 400-word letters to editor about the shortcomings of flipped classrooms or the benefits of iPads in undergraduate medicine. Little did we realise at the time that iPads would come back to haunt us. I think we can all agree that our clinical awakening took place in fifth year. Fifth year has an intimidating aura. We hear about the dreaded 53 weeks of fifth year, the long shifts on the labour ward, and the enormous volumes of pathology to learn. It's safe to say the majority of us approached it with a degree of trepidation. Nonetheless, we made it through. We got through those 53 weeks. We tackled vast swathes of nice guidelines. We developed trust issues with iPads. And we took one big step closer to becoming a doctor. The enormity of the knowledge assimilated in fifth year seems all the more impressive in retrospect. Sort of like ascending and descending a large, steep, rocky mountain littered with EpiPens and owlmen, and looking back on it with a sense of pride. In our first week of life as an F1, we may fumble around with the catheter and we may hit a bone doing an ABG, but we can feel confident. We can feel confident in the knowledge that we can safely deal with a 15-year-old opioid-dependent pregnant girl with pseudo hyperparathyroidism. That brings us to final year, and what a final year it has been. The fact that we're enjoying this night is one major positive in what has been a cripplingly disappointing and disruptive couple of months. COVID-19 has ruined elective plans and exam preparation, and it's easy for us to feel exceptionally bitter and resentful about it all. If it is at all possible, however, to see some silver lining, we can be immensely proud of ourselves for gritting our teeth, dealing with the constant uncertainty, and coming out of it as glistening Imperial College graduates. We will never forgive COVID-19 for ruining an eagerly anticipated 2-month elective, but let's please make sure that we don't give it the power to taint what has been an absolutely unbelievable 6 years at this wonderful medical school, which has crafted us into confident, competent, and compassionate junior doctors that can deal with any infection, inflammation, or malignancy. Tonight, let's not waste time thinking about what COVID-19 took from us. Let's instead reminisce about everything ICSM has given us. Let's remember roaming around London dressed as a pirate with a flashy red lanyard. Let's remember being glammed up for halfway dinner and posting incredibly cringy Instagrams. #Demidocs. Let's remember the entire year group lining up outside St. Mary's for the final line photo. These are the memories that matter. I thought I'd end this speech in the style of a Martin Lupton email. So here goes. Through the last 6 years, we've seen some major changes in the world. We've seen the rise of Trump and Brexit. We've seen England win a major sporting World Cup. We've battled coronavirus outbreaks and caused mumps outbreaks. But there was one recent discovery that really caught my eye. As I was sat in the Groundhog Day, that is 5th year exam season, an article about the first image of a black hole popped up. It measured 40 billion kilometers across, 3 million times the size of planet Earth. This ignited somewhat of an existential crisis within me. There I was, sat at my desk, all 5'8.5" of me, realizing that I was an insignificant blip in a vast cosmos. I thought to myself, what is the point of anything? Why am I learning about hereditary coproporphyria? Does anything really matter? The answer came to me the following week. That week, I saw members of Muslim medics running a teaching session for younger students. I saw the heartwarming camaraderie of members of the hockey club celebrating a big win. I saw online posts about ICSM students fundraising for charity initiatives to help vulnerable children in London. I saw a member of our year, who was clearly under considerable stress at the time, being comforted by a friend. The tenderness of the interaction was palpable. Finally, I saw an 87-year-old patient in clinic, who turned to me and my firm's partner, pointed at the doctor and said, "This man kept me alive. I was a smoker, I did everything wrong, but this man is the reason I'm standing here enjoying my life." Then he said 3 words that I will never forget and will continue to inspire me until the end of my career. He said, "We need you." We're going to have bad days as doctors. We'll be tired, stressed, and feel somewhat resentful about the circumstances in which we start our careers. But what we do know is that we're a selection of individuals who have been chosen to see people in their most vulnerable states, and to stand hand in hand on the front line against a worldwide threat. We may not receive the pay packages of our IC friends working in the big city. We may not have many work perks aside from 20% off Nando's. But we do have a privilege that trumps all. We have the responsibility of handling people in their most delicate states and giving them a sense of security. They need us. As we enter the next chapter of our lives, we can reflect on these poignant memories, whether it be dancing on stage at ENW, being arm in arm in the front row of a scrum, or queuing up outside Clapham Grand. Each and every human interaction has forged a support network that will no doubt be there when we need it in the future. This wouldn't be quite Lupton style if I didn't put in a quote from a book that I've recently read. Michelle Obama said in her best-selling book, "One of the most useless questions an adult can ask a child is, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if growing up is finite, as if at some point you become something, and that's the end." As we emerge from the cocoon that is ICSM, we may feel a sense of completion and nostalgia. However, in reality, it's just another beginning, just as terrifyingly exciting as our first day at ICSM in October 2014. As we embark on this next journey, we carry with us a wealth of memories of these moments of genuine happiness at ICSM that even a 40 billion kilometre black hole cannot dwarf. Class of 2020, can I please ask you all to raise a glass to ICSM?
To ICSM.
Oh,